A few people asked for more organ content, so I'm going to oblige. I did film a lot more of what I was doing, but reviewing it, it was very boring even for me, and I like looking at myself at high speed. Basically, I'm Ben, and I don't know anything about pneumatics, woodwork, metalwork, engineering, electronics, basic GCSE carpentry or anything like that. But I reckon I can fix this organ. Today I'm going to try and do, first of all, some work on the wind chest for some of the supplementary pipes that play a counter melody to these, which are the main melody pipes. So what I need to do is construct a wind chest that takes a main input of air, divides it into channels and sends it to each pipe as needed. Not exactly sure how I'm going to do it, but I think I'll probably use these direct pallet magnets from Kimber Allen. So on this other unit I've got solenoids pushing down in place of where a puff block would have been, which is one of these, and that's closing an air valve and opening another one to let air into these pipes. So it's right faff, and it's very big and heavy, and there's lots of moving parts and lots to go wrong. These direct pallet magnets, I think these are from the 50s or 60s, they certainly look about that old, take away a lot of the mechanical components, and essentially what you've got there is an electromagnet, and you've got a nice little frame, nice frame. You can stick this onto whatever you want. So let's say this is a wind chest, and you can use the electromagnet to open a valve. So yeah, there's a lot of other reasons why it isn't normally used on fairground organs. One of them is that the wind pressure in a fairground organ is very high because of how loud they tend to be. So in this wind chest here, hopefully you can see, yeah, so in this wind chest here, not only have you got the valve inside here that opens up and the solenoid activates, it also closes off a exhaust port here. Now, in a high pressure system, like you'd use in a fairground organ, where there's an awful lot of air that is competing with the valve structure, the exhaust is quite important, because without that it would be quite hard for the spring to close the valve. As soon as there's no pressure on this, it lets air escape out of the point before the pipes and stops them sounding quickly. Now, I'm not running this quite as loud as all that, so the wind pressure will be lower. Still reasonably high. I've had to fix 50-gram weights to each of these valves, which I got from a lab, the Newton weights. I realised my solenoids weren't strong enough to counter the wind pressure keeping the valve closed. But, so there's still quite a lot of pressure, but I think that because these little valves are quite small, the surface area is low, it's not going to be a huge amount of PSI pushing against that. So, they're relatively powerful as well. So let's give it a try. If it works on one pipe, I'll do it for the rest of them. But yeah, I'm going to experimentally design and build this. I've got an idea in my head. I don't really ever write anything down. I like to work through trial and error. I've got kind of a chaotic glue gun approach to engineering, which has served me reasonably well. But yeah, there'll be a lot of mistakes and stuff and swearing. But I hope you enjoy watching me in a boiler suit. I hope you enjoy it more than I enjoy wearing it. It's very tight, doesn't really fit. So let's have a look. I think that gives you a reasonable view. So what I've got here is one of the flanks. So that's the main chest in the middle that you've just seen, and I've constructed two assemblies like this, which have got 13 pipes each. So there's an identical one of these, but the other side. So it goes from A sharp on the other side, B, C sharp here, etc. So I think it's 25 or 26 notes in all for the accompaniment. I had to basically line up all the random pipes that got given when I bought this, of which there were many that don't really go together. I had sort of 5 from one organ, 20 from another, random stuff. Lay them all out from end to end in size order. Just ignore the notes they claim to be because they just weren't, and cut them to size. You know, using the little stopper in the top there to find the correct pitch based on the length and the width. So pretty rough and ready approach, but it worked, and I've now got a chromatic scale essentially of a couple of octaves and a bit, which is going to be very versatile. The original way this was set up on the accompaniment in the old wind chest, it was just 8 notes, so rubbish really. It was, I guess it would have been C major, the scale they would just have to make everything in, plus F sharp for some reason. So there were 8, plus a couple of dummy pipes. That's the other thing about this. Lots of the pipes on the original design are dummy pipes. There's a dummy pipe at the end of the melody rank, which is number 17. No wind goes to it. I'm planning on drilling through and adding a control for that, because I have got the channel in there in the wind chest. There's just no action, there's no valves or anything like that. Easy to do, and it gives me a bit more flexibility, but that is something for later. I just want to get the thing working, and then I can fiddle around with it for the next 50 years. So what I've got here essentially is a nice little frame on wheels that I'm quite proud of, which are stuck together. These are just stud work timber. These bits of wood I've used, so they're really cheap, soft wood, easy to work with, quite light, and I've just bolted it together and yeah, stuck some pipes on. And underneath these pipes there's lots of holes which are exactly 13mm wide, which nicely fits this pipe, which is 10mm internal diameter, 13mm external. Quite pliable, so it can sort of squeeze into things quite nicely. Just makes joining up pneumatic bits nice and easy. Don't have to use any connectors or even any glue. It's pretty good. So yeah, I've essentially got a rack of pipes with no way of getting noise out of them at the minute, and I'm planning to build something that will allow wind to be siphoned off into individual channels. When it receives MIDI control, it turns the magnet on and opens a valve. So that's simple, really. I found these boxes on Amazon for about £3 each. Just a crap, like, arts and crafts box. Horrible timber, but very light and cheap. I reckon I can just add some channels in here. And you need those channels. You can't just directly do it from the wind chest to the pipe, because there needs to be some expansion room for the air, so that you don't get a sudden sharp gust of wind, and you don't want it overblowing. If you put too much air in too quickly, it won't sound, it'll just splutter, so it'll sound bad. You need a bit of air space for it to expand, essentially. So yeah, thinking line the solenoids up, the pallet magnets on here with holes cut through, add channels, 13 of them, inside, make it airtight with some leather or something on top with holes cut in, bang it underneath each row of pipes, and stick a wind chest chamber for the wind feed underneath, which comes off the main chest from the blower. Does that sound really simple? Good. I haven't written it down or anything like that, I'm just going to go for it. Right, so just to show you, these do work. Hopefully, if I put this pipe in the bottom, give it a blow. So that's what it sounds like. If you overblow, it doesn't sound good, does it? These are stopped pipes. The air doesn't really, care how it's extended, but a stopped pipe is twice as long, in effect, as a unstopped pipe. So that means it's got a block in the end, and that means the air doesn't the sound it creates is double the length of the pipe. So this sounds like a pipe that's, what, 5 foot, but it's only 2.5 feet. So, just going to get on with it. I'll probably talk a bit. Sorry if I'm garbling. I'm not really, I haven't set this up in any way. I'm just going to go for it, and if you find it interesting, then good. Right. So, let's get this somewhere I can work with it. never write anything down because I just never follow it anyway. I find it much easier to just visualise it. I generally, by looking at things, can form quite a good plan in my head pretty quickly and then just make it. And there's so much trial and error. Like I say, I don't really know anything about engineering at all, and so I have to kind of test the tolerance of the materials I'm working with as I go. And I always find things that I just never would have found had I drawn it out on paper and planned it carefully. So, right, let's see. So in theory, stick these two boxes underneath against the planks like that and secure them, probably with something to join them together, and then a main wind chest around all this, and all the electromagnets will be inside here with holes cut in. So, sounds simple, it is. So I need 7 pipes, smaller pipes at the front, 6 larger pipes at the back, bringing 13, so I need 2 lots of this. What I might be able to do is get away with 1 per side, and then I won't have to buy another box. It saves £3. I could potentially just take a feed out of one of these and have it go to, that might work, have it go to, I could take a pipe out from this to each side, if that makes sense. Might be a bit more economical with the resources I've got, the wood and stuff. So I might do that actually. Yeah, I'll stick this on there. Have it feed out to both. Right. So 13 compartments. I'm just going to get some wood. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's going to be a bit tight. Glue gun. Probably just make one and test it, and then before committing to making loads of the same thing. So I just need a little bit of wood really. That'll do, fill the gap. Worst planing to lever this, but yeah, it's no good. Right. So to make a channel in this, I'm just sticking a bit of wood in the gap, you see? Almost 100% sure this is going to split as soon as I drill it. Do it anyway. Do I even need to do that? Yes, I do. I'm just going to measure 13 on here. It's about 3 centimetres each width. It's really hard to keep track of where things are in here, and it's pointless trying to make it any more organised because it just ends up a mess anyway. Call it 3 centimetres. Quick math. Three and a half. walls now. Yes. I'm a little bit wary of this because I feel like the wood's going to split. I'm just going to do it anyway. I'm sure it'll be fine. And if it isn't, well, never mind. Just trying to work out how big to make the holes. For 13 mil. Will I? No, I'm going to go 16. No, reverse my decision. I'm going to make it smaller. How big are these? 90. Oh, right, okay.